One of the central beliefs to yoga and Buddhism is that reality is an illusion, a kind of mirage. And that belief comes from Sankhya, a philosophy from ancient India that had a tremendous influence on yoga, Buddhism, and Ayurveda. Well, what's the point? Why think this way? The idea that reality is an illusion actually has some benefits. In some ways, we do create our reality by how we think about the world. Have you ever heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy where you think someone is talking behind your back and you get mad at them and then you start gossiping about them and then they learn that you're gossiping about them, so they actually do start gossiping about you? And here we see a picture of a person sitting on a tree, and they're creating their reality too, right? What's the reality in this photo? Is that they're going to fall out of the tree if they cut the branch. Sometimes this happens, that we actually see reality in the wrong way, and then we create bad circumstances for ourselves. And that, on some level, is what those philosophies are getting at when they say reality, calling reality an illusion. So if you create your reality, you can also change your circumstances, right? You can create a bad circumstance for yourself, but you can also change that. So you can take responsibility, and that's a good thing, right? Another consequence of this that some people see as a benefit is that if reality is an illusion, then everything is just a social construct. Everything is just a perspective. And this belief can lead someone to think anything is possible, that it could lead them to challenge any assumption. And of course, some assumptions should be challenged, and some assumptions are actually turn out to be right assumptions, and so they perhaps shouldn't be toyed with. In any case, if reality is just an illusion, then you don't have to grieve anything. You don't have to grieve any loss or trauma, which is one of the main goals of Buddhism and Sankhya, which is to overcome suffering. But if nothing is real, then suffering isn't real either. If reality isn't real, then death isn't real. Then oppression isn't real. It's all just Maya. It's all just an illusion. If the individuals in the slums of Bombay are suffering, that's just karma playing itself out. So if nothing is real and nothing matters, you can sort of be numb to it all. Well, I think Ayurveda right away would question a bit of this, and certainly I question this. I certainly have that question. Is numbing oneself to reality a solution? And, in my mind, I think, well, how is that different from drinking away your problems? Another question that I have around this model of reality being an illusion is, do I want people to treat me as an illusion? Do you want people to treat you as an illusion? Do you want people to treat you as if you don't really exist? What if people think you aren't real? That is one of the questions I've always had about this concept. And also, of course, should we pretend that suffering isn't real? Should we turn a blind eye to oppression? Is that a bit callous? Those are, some of the main questions I have about this model of reality being an illusion. It's a bit like the Matrix. To think that you can create your reality, from your head. But this is exactly what Sankhya, the root of the root philosophy of this belief, thinks, that you do create your reality out of your head. You create your perspective, and it's true that we do create our own perspective, and our perspective can be an illusion. Sometimes our perspective can be wrong, but that doesn't make reality an illusion. That just means our perspective was an illusion. So again, what about Ayurveda here? Ayurveda is utilitarian. In other words, Ayurveda is all about understanding how the real world works and how to navigate it. From my understanding of Ayurveda, it seems that to me that Ayurveda loves common sense. It loves knowing how things work and how they tick. And Ayurveda loves nature. It's not about whisking away all of nature and calling it an illusion and saying that we have no nature or that we get to choose our nature. But nature is something that simply is, and that what's natural is to acknowledge that and then develop some common sense heuristics for how to deal with reality. We've talked throughout these lectures about Sankhya being a map of how consciousness devolves into matter. And Sankhya in some ways is a roadmap of how the self creates reality. But it's also a roadmap to undo all reality and deconstruct it. One of the most common problems I face in clinic is clients who are in denial about how reality works and in denial about what's healthy for them. In fact, that denial is called prajnaparad in Ayurveda, and it's the number one cause of disease according to the ancient texts. Usually my clients are refusing to admit how things are hurting them, or they may know something is hurting them but feel powerless to stop it. Take eating too much ice cream, for example, or having a bad diet. Everybody knows a bad diet leads to poor health, but a lot of my clients, or even worse, the people who never become clients, they refuse to change their diet because they just don't want to admit to themselves their diet is hurting them. There's some denial there, and that's painful to watch. Here's another big question. I think another big way that Ayurveda challenges Sankhya. So let me ask this to you: do you think that that according to Ayurveda things matter, or that they don't matter? What about your food choices, your routine, and your spiritual life? So I would contend that in Ayurveda, it's not just that things matter a little bit, but that things matter a lot. Ayurveda loves to get into the subtle distinctions about how, different things really do matter and really do change your health. And Ayurveda would almost call it tamasic to say that nothing really matters. All right, what are some of the conclusions of this belief that we can draw, regarding reality being an illusion? So here, again, the good points. Sometimes we do need to challenge our perspective. Sometimes we do need to see reality in a new way. And it's good to admit that your perspective may have been an illusion. We should acknowledge how bad perspective affects our reality. But it's problematic if we think of all of reality as an illusion. Instead, what we want to make sure is that when we correct our perspective, that our new perspective is more real, not less real. And that means we're growing in common sense.